Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you all for being here. Um, I um, I had promised you last week that since we did the three classes on the torsion field of the Guardian Alliance of Light, that this week we're going to talk about Lord Melchizedek. And Celidia, there's a great book written by my teacher, Dr. Joshua David Stone, called The Revelation of a Melchizedek Initiate, which is this book here. You can find it online. And this is the dedication. This is the intro of the book. And I'm going to read you two paragraphs from what he said about Melchizedek. This book is dedicated to His Holiness Lord Melchizedek, the universal Logos, in whose glorious radiance we all live and move and have our being. This book is also dedicated to the Order of Melchizedek. It is the destiny of every being on this planet to become fully realized Melchizedek and priest and priestess in this order, whether conscious of it or not. This order is the essence and the glue that unites all religions, all spiritual paths, and all mystery school. This book is also dedicated to all of you, my fellow Melchizedek, for in truth, we are and have always been in the same universal family. It is my sincere hope and prayer that the story of my Melchizedek journey sheds great light on the process of Melchizedek realization for each of you, my beloved reader. Welcome home to your true spiritual heritage, which permeates the entire universe. We are brothers and sisters, Melchizedek's at different stage of realization of this noble and blessed ideal. This book is dedicated to this wonderful being, this order, this family, this aim for every beloved brother and sister on the planet. I wanted to read this because it describes better anything that I could say about who Melchizedek is and for what reason. The next series of classes I'm going to be teaching will be about the Melchizedek Order of Neutrality. My teacher, Dr. Stone here, first of all, he talked about Melchizedek as being the universal Logos. A Logos is a soul that inhabits a body of some kind. Like I have a soul inside my physical body. You have a soul inside your physical body. And once you have mastered that process and you no longer need to come back into any other physical body, you then get trained in the higher realm to inhabit and soul other things, like a planet, a tree, a sun, and you move on and on because everything is alive. A Melchizedek is a being who is actually the soul for an entire universe. And I want to put this in context for you because where the order of Melchizedek is the emerald cluster of Melchizedek. What do I mean about the emerald cluster? If you think about the uncreated God, okay, as being a being of tremendous power and immense strength, but existing in frequency and in waves, that is uncreated, meaning not manifest in a way that we can see or experience in the physical realm. A Melchizedek is an aspect of that God, or a Melchizedek cluster is multiple aspects of that God that becomes a lens through which a very specific universe gets created. In our case, our Melchizedek created our universe through the theme of courage. Each universe is created through a different theme. So he becomes the lens, and it was through his focus and intention of this lens, that our entire universe precipitated out from him. So, in truth, all of us, everything in this universe, is part of his body. I want to also let you know that scientists have said for years that our universe is 14.8 billion years old. And I've said to you before, spiritually speaking, that creation is much older than that. Way, way much older than that. And not only that, there exist multiple universes. We exist in a multiverse kind of situation. And the reason I'm saying this is that the Webb telescope just recently, because of its incredible technological advancement that was made, has been able to capture what scientists believe to be galaxies. And by the light that they're emitting, they realize that these galaxies or this light formation at the edge of our universe are actually older than 14.8 years, 14.8 billion years, which means that whatever it is, it existed billions of years before our universe manifested. Moreover, more scientists now are beginning to say that the light formation that they are seeing in these pictures are actually not galaxies, but are actually universes, other universes. I want you to open yourself up to, so each universe would have a different Melchizedek coming from the same cloister or the same group. Like angels are never one angel. This is sometimes people think that Archangel Michael is one being. It's not a being. It's a collection or what is called a choir of multiple aspects that can function, do multiple things at the same time. If you think of the hierarchy of angels, it's the same thing. If you think of the seraphim or the cherubims or the orphans, they are all choirs. It's never one. And if you're in the demonic realm, they are, instead of calling them choir, they are called legions. So I wanted to open you up to make you understand the order of Melchizedek from its inception, from source, what it actually is, and then drop down on earth to biblical reference of Abraham receiving blessings and initiation, and as a matter of fact, Jesus as well, from Melchizedek. And that information is biblically there, but this being that they received the initiation from is a priest, a high priest or priestess of Melchizedek, of the Melchizedek order. So beings who have lineage and connection to that initial being and who remember who they are and what they are have achieved a connection to the resurrection of the order of Melchizedek. And I have, and the reason I'm talking about this now, it's because my teacher, Dr. Joshua Livingstone, whose two paragraphs I just read you, before he went to a name change, an identity change before his transition. He left the planet when he was 52, and he wrote over 40 different volumes. Very prolific. And prior to this name change, this is called now the I Am University. He used to be called the Melchizedek Synthesis Light Academy. This was the name that I knew him under when I joined to study with him. And that particular name is a lens of the Melchizedek energy which was about synthesis and the merger of all belief system and religion into one. This was part of the purpose of my teacher, and this is the energy or the if you can think of the Melchizedek order as a or Melchizedek as a precious jewel, light reflect on each facet of the jewel differently, and each light has a different vibration. My teacher was on earth the being that was bringing in the energy of synthesis. Because the planet is shifting and going into something else, Melchizedek low-key since 2007 has been teaching me the frequency and the vibration of Melchizedek Order of Neutrality. How for us to reconcile and be neutral to everything that's happening around us, and broadcast that neutrality to others, and to not let that let that reconciliation become a path through which we can return back to God. So I wanted to state that initially, when people had heard original website that I was bringing the energy of Melchizedek, I had tons and tons of people. Students were all over the place. Many of you who have been there at the beginning remember this. The place used to be, my small apartment used to be packed with people. Every event used to be packed with people. They were coming, however, for the wrong reason. Because when you mention in the light community anything Melchizedek related, people are thinking about the power of Melchizedek. They want to connect to power so that they can do magic. They can, use that power as if they are Gandalf on the bridge of Khazad-dûm in the Lord of the Rings. And many of these people who were there for the wrong reason did not understand maybe other Melchizedek facets of the Melchizedek jewel may have given them some temporary power that they may have belonged to. The energy that I hold is neutrality. And in order for you to achieve that neutrality, you have to do the hard work, meaning you have to become neutral within your own skin first, which means what? The intent, the queries, the emotional, social, and spiritual intelligence of managing your emotions, then social intelligence, managing your emotional interaction with other people, and spiritual intelligence to listen to higher virtues and emotion that are coming from spirit. All of which that I have taught you. Melchizedek has been dropping piece by piece all of the foundational pieces to this mechanic and protocol that he's trying to teach us on what he called at a channeling in 2014, I believe, or 2015, the restoration of the Melchizedek Order of Neutrality on earth, to restore it back, which is to create beings that are so poised in their emotional mastery that they allow themselves to be so neutral that they are not and reconciled with their own emotion, that they can broadcast this in the face of whatever is happening around the world, particularly now, the chaos. We have so many wildfires that are in the West. Right in Inwood Park, up in Manhattan, there was a fire 2 days ago. I'm expecting next fire to happen in Central Park. And again, all of these things can create panic and generate what's happening with political and social unrest and changes that are taking place, can cause people to do all kinds of things. It doesn't matter. You have to remain in this neutrality. You have to be at rest, so at rest with yourself, and trust that God has a plan. It is not up to you to control. If something is far gone and you did your best and it didn't work the way you wanted, it's because there is a greater plan. God knows best. And become neutral and surrender and let go. And let God take over. That's very hard to do, particularly if there are social issues or social injustices that you're seeing and that you feel a certain way about. You have to trust that God is capable of taking care of everything. Now, in the context of everything that I'm saying right now, the foundational piece to the entire Melchizedek Order of Neutrality is the torsion field of the guardian alliance of light. I'm going to stop you for a second and allow you to ask me any question if you have any, because I don't want to shift into a different topic before I give you an opportunity to ask questions. Any questions, any comments? Okay. So, the torsion field of the guardian alliance of light. The guardian alliance of light is a collective of celestial beings that exist in all dimensions of time and space. Where I'm sitting right now, etherically above me, so in the position I'm sitting, I have 7 chakras. Okay, chakra 7 is all the way at the top of my head. Chakra 6, chakra 5, etc., all the way down to my seat, and there's 0 chakra underneath my feet. But above me, etherically, if you can think of the Russian nested egg, there exists another version, a higher version of me that's on top of the one of the me that's existing here, and chakra 8 to 15 exists in that 4th dimensional body. Above that, there is another 7 chakra system for the 5th dimensional body, chakra 16 to 22. And this continues all the way back to God. More elevated, more etheric, more refined, energetic essence of me. And it goes all the way back to God. And that entire chakra column going back to God is called the Antakarana, or sometimes referred to as the Rainbow Bridge, because it's the bridge back to God. In fact, in comic books, if any of you have ever looked at the Thor and Odin, they also have a rainbow bridge. That's taken from that, literally from those kind of belief system. Now, having said this, your higher self in 4D, 5D, 6D that are etheric and more energetic may not necessarily be neutral at the moment. So in the 4D, in the 5D, in the 6D, and so on and so forth, all the way back to God, there's a collective of beings called the Guardian Alliance of Light that whose purpose is to hold the energy of neutrality. And what they do is that with the right circumstances, they can project their antakarana, their entire own, because they have achieved neutrality in the 4D, in the 5D, in the 6D, they can project it back into you as an act of generosity, kindness, and love to remind you that the vibration of neutrality, although not often expressed in our world, exists and should be broadcast more and more, so that you can also find reconciliation, but also the people in your circle of influence can also find reconciliation. Now, as they broadcast their antakarana unto you, they come in first guardian, counter rotating at the bottom of your feet, spinning his energy, and it's with consent. If you don't consent, they will not come in. Everything in there is done with consent. And then they project it into the bottom of your feet, counter rotating, exiting outside of your head. And when they are done exiting outside of your head, they create a torsion field or a torus, which is an energy donut. If you can think of your core being the center of the donut, the energy rotates in every direction like a donut. And it's continually self-perpetuating. And it broadcasts neutrality. In the opposite direction, in 5D, the energy comes from the top, descends from source, and drops into the top of your head, travels to the bottom of your feet. And on top of the first one, the second one is nested, counter-rotating. And this continues all the way back to God, including and engulfing every 7 chakra system in every higher body that you have, all the way back to God. So that by the time you're done, you have a giant necklace composed of multiple beads of dimensional beings that have created a safe passage and opening in your core to allow the neutrality of God to descend and ascend through you. It's an act of deep and profound compassion and love. Now, this is higher frequency and vibration. Now, there are lots of other things that can happen and that can be done with that energy, but I wanted to explain the basics. And moreover, the reason you start by doing all this emotional intelligence, social intelligence, internal query, and you go into yourself when you're feeling an emotion. You learn how to manage the emotion, how to reconcile, and how you reconcile. You ask for forgiveness for your own karma, for what you did. You ask yourself for forgiveness. You ask other people. You say the Ho'oponopono, and then you ask yourself for forgiveness as well for having in the past offended this person or that person. You take responsibility for yourself, for being broken, for being vulnerable and feeling a certain way. And as you do this and you become more and more neutral, you will become neutral yourself in 3D, and you will now earn a seat as a member of the Guardian Alliance of Light in 3D. And moreover, when the first guardian comes in 4 dimensions, 5, 6, 7, all the way back to God. So when these guardians come in and they create their torsion field on top of you, if you are yourself or out of sync because you're not neutral, it can create a problem. Although the energy is extremely forgiving, meaning the guardian understands our heart, because a lot of time we are not neutral because we don't understand what neutrality is, because we have been polarized for so long. We don't understand what it means. That the only thing we understand is black or white. When the guardian come in, sometime when I do it, I realize I'm not completely neutral, but I do it nonetheless. I was sharing with Janice the other day, fake it until you make it. So there are times when I do the torsion field, I arrive at a certain moment in the process of letting the guardian come in and do it. And I follow, as the guardian come in, creates the first torsion field, I take a deep breath. I follow with them. And then when they create the torsion field, I exhale. I empty myself out. And then the second guardian comes in. And then the next torsion field is created. And I do 12 breaths and torsion field gets created. Now, what happens is that a lot of times when you're doing this, you are suddenly, as you're doing this, you begin to realize initially I'm not completely I'm not neutral, but I'm trying to learn neutrality. I'm not neutral at this moment because I don't understand it, but I'm trying to learn it. The guardians are very forgiving, and they will broadcast that neutrality into you to remind you the frequency and the vibration of it, and it will entrain you into what neutrality is. On the other hand, I have witnessed, I'm telling you this, I have witnessed this for so many of the original people who wanted the power and the energy, as a way for them to put it as another modality that they have mastered so that they can use it as a weapon. These people trying to use the torsion field in battle with other people, with other healers and etc., they have hurt themselves badly, and so few of them almost committed suicide because of it. Because the way the torsion field works, once it's created and the intention that you have in your heart, let's say, for example, I create the torsion field and I want to merge with God, or I want to connect to the Melchizedek Order, or I want to share the neutrality that I know with someone else. I want to project healing toward them, whose permission I have. So if that is the case, everything's fine. But if your intention is that I want to battle this person, I want them to be punished for what they did to me, blah, 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 and that's what you're intending, everything will backfire on you. You would be attacked. I have watched these people were to the point that they are now scared of ever doing the torsion field again. Because every time they do it, things are actually getting worse because they are not neutral in their core. They are in combat. And they are warriors that are in combat. And because they are in combat and they are not even attempting to achieve neutrality in their heart, because it's not coming from a pure heart, a sincere desire to evolve and to grow, it backfires and it hurts them. Any questions, any comments?
Pierre, when the torsion fields are stacked up, I missed it, but all of them are going counterclockwise?
No. The first one is counterclock. The second one is clockwise. The one after that is clockwise, and so on and so forth. They flip.
They flip each other in the opposite way.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the first one, though, is clockwise.
First one is counterclock.
Counterclockwise. Okay.
It comes from the core of the earth and it comes counterclockwise. The second one is clockwise, and it goes like this all the way until 12 of them are nested on top of you. And then when it's done, all of them are self, because the torsion field is a perpetual movement. So they're self-generating and they're rotating. The only thing that can break the geometry is if you yourself go into fear, or you try to attack, or you become disconnected to neutrality. Now, having said this, given the world that we're living on, where fear is being bombarded to us by friends, family member, events, and things that are going around us, it is not always possible to remain neutral with having done that protocol once in the morning. I'm realizing now throughout the day, I have to do it 3 to 4 times. But I can do it easily because it's 12 breaths. I ask the guardian to come in as I'm walking to the store. I'm walking, and as I'm walking, it's being done around me. I take the breath from the core of the earth, the counterclockwise. After a while, if you've done it a few times, after a month or 2 months of doing it, you can do it anywhere. I don't drive a car without first sitting in the car, warming up the car. People think I'm warming up. I'm actually doing the torsion field. The torsion field will make you safe. No danger will come to you. When the guardian first came to me and described the torsion field, the lion white that came to me said to me, I'm going to teach you a way in which nothing negative in time and space can hurt you. Nothing. Not knife, not bullet, nothing can hurt you. The other thing that I want to share is that first guardian, second, third, and so on, so forth. Each one higher dimension, higher dimension. These collective, the first guardian that comes in project its beings in fourth dimension that have achieved neutrality and are part of the guardian house of light. They are projecting onto them as an act of generosity the antakarana that comes in counterclockwise at the bottom of your feet. It's not yours, it's theirs. But they're sharing temporarily the elevation and the neutrality that they know. Because no one grows past the 8th level initiation unless you're doing surface work. This is what we need to understand. To achieve ascension is to serve. Initially, it's to work on yourself. So thus, all of the Dantien, all of the emotional, social intelligence, spiritual intelligence, doing all that work. But give me at a certain point, for me and for all of you to ascend and elevate and become enlightened beings, we have to now, having achieved in connection with the order of Melchizedek of neutrality and the guardian alliance of light, we have now to share it with the world. We have to broadcast it generously as the guardian alliance of light are doing with us. We have to share it with the world because they are not in the 3D, meaning the guardian alliance of light. We have to become member of the guardian alliance of light in 3D and share it with the rest of the planet. And in the process of doing this, we will create a doorway or a bridge that will open up at the right moment to allow individuals who have, because when you're doing the torsion field, the thing you're going to be very aware of is that you're going to be very aware of your central axis in your core. But equally important, you're going to realize that the torus is a volume. It's not a flat plane, like when people in old grimoire spiritual magic or drawing a line or with chalk or with sulfur or with salt on the ground. It's not a flat thing. It's an entire volume. And that volume extends out, and you're going to understand spatially how far the edge of that volume is with the first torsion field, the second one, the third, the fourth. And as it extends out, you will realize that your circle of influence, I talk about this all the time, and maybe none of you has really understood it. When I'm talking about the circle of influence, it's the extension of the torsion field, how far it has extended. That's the circle of influence. Any questions, any comments?
Thank you, Pierre. I had a question about our essence in 3D, reaching for neutrality by going through up to the 15th dimension with the Guardian Alliance of Light, the torsion field in all 15 dimensions. In some part of us exists in all of those dimensions already, right?
Correct.
And are we affecting that part of us, or are they already in neutrality? I'm just not sure I'm expressing this correctly. So we are reaching for neutrality in 3D as we ascend in the torsion field through all the dimensions, but that part of us in those dimensions may already be neutral.
And if they are neutral, you will have no problem when the guardians come in. They will. Okay, here's the truth. There are times when you're doing the torsion field, for example, when you get, it varies. Particularly when you're first acclimating yourself to learning it. When you get, for example, to guardian number 6 or guardian number 8, all of a sudden there is a disjointed experience when the torsion field is getting created. Either you see a scene visually, or you sense something is touching you or attacking you. You feel something disjointed. It's because your body that exists in that realm, in that dimension, is not neutral. It means that the Melchizedek part of you, that I remember I was saying before that my teacher is was bringing the Melchizedek the light of synthesis, the Melchizedek synthesis light synthesis academy. There are the frequency and facet in the gigantic jewel that is Melchizedek. Maybe that part of you is not in neutrality at the moment because it's exploring a different facet.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
And therefore you have to entrain it into the neutrality so that the column will be in rectitude. I've used that term many times before. You may not have understood it when I talk about spiritual rectitude and verticality. That's the antakarana. That's the rod. That's
That's Melchizedek's God.
yes, yes. Because when my antakarana is restored in neutrality, okay, and I'm connected to source now in neutrality, that my antakarana, my rainbow bridge, is nothing more than a hairstring in a gigantic braid that is weaved together. That is the entire antakarana of Lord Melchizedek. And this includes, as Dr. Stone just said, every being that's alive in the universe, that's sentient.
Mm.
Every being.
Wow. You also mentioned that there are collectives, like that was the word I think you used, for many of the beings that we think of as being singular. They're actually collectives. Are we collectives, star souls that came to Earth at this time,
Yes.
assist in the transition? Are we all, let us say, in this circle that we belong to, the family of spiritual seekers? Are we a part of that choir of?
Okay, the best way to say there is no separation. Fragmentation is an illusion.
Mm.
It's all illusion. Because spirit is trying to experience individuality and the fragmentation occur, and we're dreaming that we're fragmented. But there is no fragmentation. And this is the part that the ego, I was sharing in a small video that I posted very recently, that in order for you to ascend, you have to go to multiple ego death. And the ego death is that you have to let go of your individuality and all of these false identities. Whether you believe you're different because you're who you are and you are from a rich or poor family, you are black or white, you're male or female, you identify as your profession, you identify as Bambi, you identify as whatever it is that you identify with at the moment. All of them are untrue. This is not who you are. We are masters of self-deceit and we deceive ourselves all the time. What you really are is Melchizedek itself. The entire thing.
Right. Interesting. The other last question, and I promise I'll shut up.
No. I like your questions. It's okay. And before you ask this question, let me just add to this. This is where you get the power to do the beyond time and space. When you realize that you're Melchizedek itself.
Yes. 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 That's the weight and the power in that sense that perhaps some of the others were looking for.
Yes. But that awareness cannot come in if your ego is in the way.
Right.
If you're
And
trying,
intention.
yes, if you're plotting, if you're doing all the mashigas, you cannot come to that awareness.
Right. I understand.
Yeah.
The other thing about neutrality and emotions, fear, of course, would be one that none of us want to hold on to, but there are a multitude of emotions that range from longing to grief to any number of things that are not pure light and airy and beautiful, neutral. Well, even the most elevated emotion is not neutral, is it? If it's an emotion, it doesn't display neutrality. So I'm wondering if the tapestry of our existence as human beings isn't part of that, like colors on a canvas, needing to have varied emotions.
You know, when we did the cultivation of the virtue some years back, if you remember, many of the higher emotion, whether it's love, peace, and when we query and ask our higher self to teach us the peace that they know, to teach us the
Yeah.
love that they know, the gratitude that they know, etc., the wisdom that they know. As you do this, what often happens is that you get multiple words or a feeling or sensation, or I felt often a gigantic shaft of energy that I could not describe. And a lot of time it took a long time, sometimes weeks, sometimes months, for me to unpack that a lot of these feelings that I call, for example, the example I use all the time because it was so impactful because it happened to me when it first happened to me. I was focusing on gratitude and I felt something. I couldn't describe what it was. It was almost 3 months before every day, every time I got to gratitude, I'm like, the same feeling and sensation is there, but I don't know how to describe it. And then as I was listening to that day and I tilted my head, I'm like, what am I? What is this energy? And then I heard reverence. And I remember tilting my head to the side. I'm like, wait a minute. Gratitude is connected to reverence. What does that mean? And then I heard the way God speak, it's not a loud voice. It's a soft whisper. This is why you have to listen very carefully. And it comes toward you like a wave, like the sea in the ocean crashing against your feet. It's like a wave. And the wave came back in and said, deep and profound reverence for the gift received. A lot of times, these higher emotions are composed of multiple things together. And if I look in the Webster's dictionary, that's not the definition of gratitude. But in a high, in 6-7D, that's the definition. So to answer your question is that those higher emotions, as you're trying to connect to them, stop fixating on it being one thing. In truth, all of the high emotion, including wisdom, love, peace, are literally composed of 12 separate things merged together that creates a pet that opens up like a flower with 12 petals. And the totality of them together compose wisdom or compose gratitude. Does that make any sense, Janice?
Yeah, it's deep, and I'm following you, paddling hard to follow, but I'm not following you. Uh, my question though is, in art, music, whatever, there is an element of human emotions, not the elevated emotions, that comes together to create beauty. In,
Yes,
in, in a sense, I suppose one doesn't know light until one sees dark.
yes.
Um, does that mean that that is no longer an attribute we should aspire to?
No, no, the exact opposite. The exact opposite. The same with art is that your vulnerability and your brokenness is a superpower. It's the gateway to heaven.
Mm,
The mistake that all light workers are making is that they are suppressing this because they think they should be sent like.
mm, mm.
That's the biggest mistake that you're making. Your brokenness, the way Kuan Yin became the Bodhisattva, she went deep in Fragrance Island in deep meditation to try to figure out her karma with her father who tried to kill them multiple times. And she went deep inside herself to discover the past lives and all the things she did in past life to him and how they've been going at each other for multiple lifetimes. And she realized that she is equally a monster. And she had to forgive herself for being so broken and so shattered. And when she was able to do this, and in order for her to do this, she had to listen to herself. So your vulnerability is not a weakness, it's a superpower. I keep saying all the time, in order for you to become divine, you have to become completely human, fully embodied as a human being.
That's perfectly explaining my conundrum. One doesn't want to deny those emotions then that are not as high and elevated, but to live with that and dive into them to understand the triggers at the bottom.
In other words, it's okay. If you listen to them, you're going to enter into a minefield if you don't have the right guidance. And this is why most people don't want to do that work. Okay? They're like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. It's too dark. I'm not going in there. But when you listen to it and you go deep and you listen to it, what actually happens is that you begin to, in the case of Kuan Yin, for example, she began to realize it's by the grace of God that in this lifetime she's not a monster worse than her dad. And therefore, she forgave her father. And she accepted. So from that darkness that she was in, where she felt so victimized by a man who tried to kill her, or supposedly father, multiple times, she then was able to elevate into forgiveness.
And hence into neutrality.
And not only neutrality, but forgiveness is a higher emotion.
Right.
Do you understand? That darkness and admitting and doing all of that inner work actually catapult you into a higher emotion.
I can imagine the colors and the beauty of those higher emotions that will wipe away any perceived beauty of the darker negative emotions that we see in art and music.
Yeah, in all art pieces, whatever the medium is, there's always a darkness and there's a denouement, and then it's transforming into something else.
Right, it's the release from that.
Yes, in good art anyway. Right now, a lot of artists or contemporary artists are showing their psychosis and their brokenness unresolved.
Yes.
Which is the reason why a lot of art, for that matter, music right now, I can't listen to it.
I agree.
Because, when you went to a gallery and all you're seeing is somebody having a psychotic breakdown one after the other, I don't want to participate in this. There's no resolution. Nothing is solved.
That's right.
Oh, I'm listening to a music that's so disjointed and so broken, and there's a lot of yelling and screaming, and it's chaos. Why would I want to listen to this?
Right. Having an initial, perhaps, or a beginning place of struggle, but showing the hero's journey.
Exactly. And the elevation into higher heights.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So if you're able to achieve this, and again, this is what I've been trying to teach you, is that this is what we do with the Dantian. When you're doing the Dantian and the Kui, where you're talking to yourself, you're trying to figure out what's happening with your core, where you are with what are you feeling, what emotion, what sensation, is for you to acknowledge and sit with, and there's a specific protocol to do this. Because otherwise, if you don't have the right protocol, it's going to overwhelm you. We want to do this safely. We want to guide students safely through this. But a lot of us as light workers, we are top heavy. We're escaping in our higher bodies all the time. And we're complete in the lower chakras, the bottom 3 chakras, we don't ever get into it. And we can never ascend because we have 3 gigantic anvil tied to our waist. We'll never ascend.
Hence the Dantian.
Yes, you need to do this work of acknowledging your brokenness. And when Kuan Yin forgave her dad, what she had to do as well is forgive herself,
Right.
because she realized, I'm no different than him. And because of this, Kuan Yin has this incredible ability to actually change demons and convert them into light. One time, in one story about her life, the last killer that her dad sent to kill her, when she was isolating herself, she realized that if this man had returned without achieving her killing, her dad would have killed him and his family. So she let the guy get to, and the guy tried to kill her. She went into the underworld and the world of the demons after that, because she had a mission for the way she became the bodhisattva that could heal, she who hears the suffering of the world, the sound of the world. It's because she could listen to her own self first. She didn't set out to do this. She was trying to heal herself. That's all she was trying to do. So after that happened, she then realized that she went in the underworld, and then what happened automatically in the underworld, because of her presence and her ability to listen, she was able to hear the pain, the suffering of all the souls that were trapped there, and the demons, and so on and so forth. And because of her compassion and acceptance and mercy and forgiveness, she forgave all of them. And as she was forgiving them, the landscape of hell changed according to the story. Instead of being a desolate, filled with fire, it was transforming into a place of beauty. And the demon king, got so upset with her, he kicked her out and resurrected her back into life. She has an ability to transform everyone because of her deep and profound ability to listen and her capacity to be merciful. Mercy as a higher emotion, for example, is composed of 12 different petals.
Beautiful.
All of that is packaged into the Melchizedek Order of Neutrality. And when you do the work, you're going to get the rewards. And the things and the power that these people were seeking, if they had done the work, that would have been on their lap at this moment. In 2007, 2008, none of them wanted to do it, and they all walked out. And it's their loss, but it's not a loss to us. All of us who remain behind, we are benefiting from this from this growth and this evolution. Any other questions or comments? The other thing that I want to mention is that the guardian eyes of light in all dimensional time and space, a lot of time we keep thinking that they are beings that look like us. Trust me, many of them don't look like us. In fact, many of the angels that are described in the Bible, like the Seraphim, Seraphim name translate as fiery serpent. They don't look anything like us. Or the cherubim that are around the throne room of God, as described by Enoch, or for that matter, John in Revelation. They are beings that have 6 wings, the head of a bull, an eagle, a lion, and a man, and they have eyes all over them, including on the wings. They don't look like anything that we understand or we know in 3D. When you think of Ezekiel's chariot, the chariot that elevated Ezekiel and the being into the heaven, he saw wheels that were filled with eyes all over them, that were counter-rotating to each other. like filaments, but they were filled with eyes. Again, describing a volume. And I'm going to add to this is that it's not just in the angelic realm. A lot of the guardian, the members of the guardian house of light are not humanoid at all. Some of them may be aquatic, some of them may be bird people, some of them may be anerectoid, others may be other kind of species that are non-corporeal per se, more energetic in their continents. Because everything that the vast mosaic of manifestation that exists in the universe, all of it is a manifestation, is connected to Lord Melchizedek, the actual universal logos. Now, the Melchizedek on earth that's mentioned in the Bible at two places was a high priest of Melchizedek. Because when you become a high priest, you are named Melchizedek with some other title, some other name attached to it. Like Pierre Melchizedek, Kate Melchizedek, Janice Melchizedek, that kind of thing. The other dimension to this that I want to add is that in every galaxy, now the Webb telescope has just blown science wide open because a lot of places in space that the Hubble telescope used to see as empty with the better camera and etc. All of them are filled with galaxies. So there are more and more galaxies and more things are being discovered. So at the center of every galaxy, there's a collective of 12 galactic elders that compose the governance of that galaxy, which means these celestial beings or galactic beings are there to oversee the evolutionary growth of all life form in that entire galaxy. One of the beings that exists, that shows up in every galaxy in the entire universe, is an aspect of Melchizedek. Because everything in the entire universe, it's him. So in our own universe, in our own galaxy, you have, I know only a few names. There are other names that are in there, but I don't think I can pronounce it. They try to describe it to me. I can't hear it correctly because I think there are too many consonant. The pronunciation is not something I can repeat. You have Melchior, Lindus, Virimos, Atlantis, Adonis, Cosmos, Avaron, and Melchizedek. The other four beings, I can't pronounce their name. And I channel those as well here and there. They are called the Galactic Regent Council. Regent of, they form the regency or the governance of a specific galaxy, the Milky Way. There is a different composition. Melchizedek has an aspect of him in Andromeda, in Pegasus, in all other, but there are another 11 member body that also is with him.
Who created these beings?
I'm sorry, who created which beings?
Who created these beings? Who created Lord Melchizedek?
Melchizedek is an aspect of God.
Okay.
The name actually means peace. He's an aspect of God.
Hmm.
But God is the unmoved mover. God does not manifest in a physical world. An emissary had to be sent, and that emissary is Melchizedek. Any other questions or comments? Many people that are in the know are trying to get an initiation from somebody with a certificate in their hand to say, I'm a high priest of Melchizedek. I'm a priestess of Melchizedek. Knock yourself out. I'll be honest with you, it means nothing to me. I know the connection I have, and I understand that as a lens, you can think of Melchizedek kit as a lens through which God's light manifests into our world.
Okay, that's a nice
Okay?
explanation. Yeah.
That's the way to think of it. Like
Okay.
God is the unmoved mover. God exists in the realm of non-existence. The realm in which God actually exists, it doesn't have corporal connection, and plus there is no individuality. It's a series of fluidic waves that's filled with benevolence. It's like a gigantic pool with all of these waves that are moving about. When Enoch described the 10th heaven and being in the presence of God, on the seat that was the throne room of God, there was just blinding light. You could not see the face of God and live for that matter. And around God, there were all these beings, including the 24 elders that surround the throne of grace that were worshiping him, and the four cherubim. Again, 6 wings being with the head of a bull, the human head, the eagle, and the lion, all of them were watching about and protecting the throne room. By the way, in Ezekiel chariot, in Ezekiel when he was ascending, the same cherubims were there too. With the rings, with the wheels, the spinning wheels that were spinning around him, which I think is actually a torsion field that had eyes all over them. I'm trying to emancipate your awareness to allow you to consider things that are out of the scope of what you think, what you have accepted so far in religious circle, because we are past that point, and I need for you to have information that will expand you into a greater understanding. Because as you experience, if you follow the mechanics that I'm teaching you, you're going to experience these things, and you're going to see and experience them, and you're going to be jarred. I want you to be prepared.
I wonder if that has to do with that thing I saw coming around the mountain, about a month ago. And, where then the feeling was that everything was going to be okay and to progress on. No.
Don't believe in the fear. The fear
Right.
is an illusion. In Buddhist teaching, it's Maya. In Hindu teaching, it's the same thing. It's Maya. It's an illusion. If you buy in the fear, you've already lost. That's why I'm trying to teach you neutrality. Now, as it stands, the torsion field, the way it works is that there are times, as I said, I've done it in the morning once, and I can feel that I'm not completely neutral. As I go to the store, as I go for a walk, I do it again. As I'm returning back, I do it again. By the third time, I'm neutral. And there is a specific way that you feel where you align, you feel like you have a flashlight above your head. And all of the having to do and you micromanaging and you taking care of and you rescuing, all of that just drop. And you stand in your beingness. You just stand in your beingness and in being neutral. And you're broadcasting it to the circle of influence. Now, I know a lot of the things I'm saying now are very advanced, and a lot of you are not speaking because you're trying to process and trying to adjust your understanding as I'm expanding your comprehension into further out into other territories. Now, I'm going to be going forward teaching more, putting everything together out in the open. I got the okay from Lord Melchizedek to do this because the planet is in need of the vibration of neutrality to give the rest of humanity the broadcast of that light that is missing right now. There are other vibrations that are dissonant, that are broadcasting other things, that are trying to capture and entrain people in different vibration, like the xenophobic idea, the hedonistic broadcast, the broadcast of the future that is completely bipolar, or fix the world, fix the 3D world, and then everything is going to be okay. The realm that we're going to into the new earth is not physical in the sense that you and I see it in 3D. It's not physical. There might be physical component to it, but it's not physical. Because in 4D, in 5D, it's a time space. If X, Y, Z are the three axes that allow 3D to exist, 4D is time, and 5D is a further understanding of time. And it's a time, as you understand, a time loop. There's that great series that just was playing Agatha all along for Marvel, and there's a piece in there that's just about the witch in there, that's the seer. And I clipped it. I took the clip, the YouTube clip, and I sent it to multiple of my students because I want them to understand what I mean about in 4D, the geometry that makes you understand 4D is called a tesseract. A tesseract is a cube that invert into himself and reopen, we perpetuate it like a torus, like a torsion field, like a donut. It rotates onto itself. It means that when you're the access to fourth dimension, if you have full access to it, it means that your sight or your perception would shift where you understand time as a time loop, where you can go to the past, to the future, to the beginning, to the end, and everything loops back into itself. In 5D, having had that expansion in 4D, in 5D, it's for you to select which time frame in any 3D coordinate. Let's say Main Street, USA, and John Street. That corner, that intersection, has a certain 3D coordinate to it. But if you were to cross that street at different time in the past, in the present, or in the future, you would not necessarily meet a friend that you have not seen for 20 years there. Oh, that accident. There is no accident. In 5D, you select the time and the location, and you're there. Questions?
Question, Pierre. The new Earth, is that 5D? You said non-physical or a non-physical element. Is this part of the time world line kind of thing that you speak of?
It will have a physical component to it, but it's not just physical. It will have a physical component, but like in the Agatha all along with the seer, she thought she was loony because she saw herself as a child. She saw herself in the future. She saw herself. She couldn't figure out where everything was disjointed to her because her perception had just opened. And her teacher kept saying to her teacher, make it stop, make it stop. I need to control this. The teacher said to her, your purpose is not to control it. Your purpose is just to see. You don't need to control it. Just see. What do you see? It's a beautiful clip, and it's played by Patti LuPone from Broadway, and her acting in there was top notch. As someone that's confused, that think that she's completely schizophrenic, she's loony.
Right, right. Maybe
She would flip to her being as a child, and even in the end of the clip, spoiler alert, she so-called died in the 3D linear timeline. But the next scene, she goes back to her teacher in the past. And the teacher said, come, I'll give you a lesson now. You're getting it.
And this you're all describing is 5D. Is that correct?
It's her initially in 4D trying to understand. When you accept it and you can control it and you can go in time at a specific location, at a specific world line, that's 5D.
Okay, so that's where the new Earth will be.
Yes, yes, yes. So there's a physical component to it, but it's not just physical.
Right, right.
Any other questions or comments? All right, let's take a 5-minute break and then we'll do a closing meditation. Take a very deep and slow breath. And as you inhale and exhale deeply and slowly, allow the universal life force that permeates everything to enter into your lungs. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your soul and your awareness drop in the middle of your chest. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Let your mind and your heart sync with each other. And notice what you notice. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. And the guardian alliance of light approach you, offering to gift you their shields of light and protection and a band of neutrality. If you are ready to accept this gift at this time, answer affirmatively and let the energy of the first guardian begin from the core of the earth, counter-rotating, moving through the bottom of your feet, passing through your core, exiting outside of your head, and going into source and creating all around you a torsion field of neutrality. The axis at the top of your head extends and it attracts now the energy of the second guardian, cascading from source, dropping into the top of your head, rotating clockwise, moving through your core, going into the bottom of your feet, into the core of the earth, and radiating and creating all around you a torsion field of neutrality. Please forgive me. I love you. and I let go. The axis at the bottom of your feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the third guardian. And as you inhale this from the core of the earth, counter-rotating, it moves through the bottom of your feet, passing through your core, exiting outside of your head, and going into source and creating all around you the torsion field of neutrality. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. The axis at the top of your head extends and it attracts now the energy of the fourth guardian, cascading down from source, dropping into the top of your head as it rotates clockwise, dropping to the bottom of your feet and going to the core of the earth and creating all around you a torsion field of neutrality. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. The axis at the bottom of your feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the fifth guardian coming from the core of the earth, counter-rotating, moving through the bottom of your feet, exiting outside of your head, and going into source and creating all around you the torsion field of neutrality. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. The axis at the top of your head extends and it attracts now the energy of the sixth guardian, cascading down from source while rotating clockwise, dropping into the top of your head, moving through your core, dropping to the bottom of your feet, and going into the core of the earth while creating all around you a torsion field of neutrality. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. The axis at the bottom of your feet extends, and it attracts now the energy of the seventh guardian coming in from the core of the earth, counter-rotating, moving through the bottom of your feet, passing through your core, exiting outside of your head, and going into source while creating all around you a torsion field of neutrality. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. The axis at the top of your head extends and it attracts now the energy of the eighth guardian coming in from source while rotating clockwise, dropping at the top of your head, passing through your core, exiting at the bottom of your feet, and creating all around you the torsion field of neutrality. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. The axis at the bottom of your feet extends and it attracts down the energy of the night guardian, coming in from source while rotating clockwise, passing through the bottom of your feet, moving through your core, exiting outside of your head, and creating all around you a torsion field of neutrality. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. The axis at the top of your head extends and it attracts down the energy of the 10th guardian, cascading down from source, rotating clockwise, passing through the top of your head, dropping into your core, and going at the bottom of your feet and into the core of the earth, and creating all around you a torsion field of neutrality. The axis at the bottom of your feet extends and it attracts down the energy of the 11th guardian, counter-rotating, moving through the bottom of your feet, moving through your core, exiting outside of your head, and going into source and creating all around you the torsion field of neutrality. The axis at the top of your head extends and it attracts now the energy of the 12th and final guardian, cascading down while rotating clockwise, passing through the top of your head, moving through your core, exiting at the bottom of your feet, and going into the core of the earth while creating all around you the torsion field of neutrality. Observe the 12 counter-rotating axes that are spinning in your core. May my antakarana and my access into the throne room of God merge with the celestial access and the antakarana of Lord Melchizedek. As I return home to acknowledge my connection as the puzzle piece that was missing. Let the broadcast of the neutrality of the Guardian Alliance of Light and the Melchizedek Order of Neutrality release the liberation and the freedom that they know. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Take a very deep and slow breath. And whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes.
Thank you, Pierre. There was a lot to take in, but it's
You're welcome, Janice. You're welcome.
thrilling. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I also wanted to remind you about Willili.
Yes, I'm going to make the announcement. So next week, Janice and I are going to go to the memorial service for Lily around the time of the class. The class is canceled for next week. Okay? Put that on your calendar. And also remember that when you're doing the torsion field, you have to be vertical. You cannot be laying down horizontally and do it. You're gonna create. It's gonna go in, but you're gonna be so ungrounded and disoriented for days. You need to be vertical. You have to sit with your torso vertical, or standing up, or walking. Okay? Thank you everyone in Patreon for your support. Thank you to everyone on Facebook and on YouTube. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you in 2 weeks. Thank you everyone. Blessings.
Good night, everyone. Love you.